The province is hoping new legislation will force people to take short-term rentals off platforms like Vrbo and Airbnb.
We have seen a 20% increase in the number of short-term rental listings in British Columbia in the last year alone, to an all-time high of about 28,000 listings.
The proposed law restricts short-term rentals to within a host's home, a basement suite or laneway home on the property where they live. Hosts who break the rules would be fined $3,000 a day, up from $1,000, and to help make people follow the rules.
A new enforcement team that will support the efforts led by municipalities and regional districts.
Short-term rental companies will be required to share data with the province and show business registration numbers on the listings.
This will help local enforcement. If hosts are not playing by the rules, this legislation will require platforms to take down those listings.
Airbnb's policy manager argues the proposed legislation won't ease BC's housing concerns, saying instead it will take money out of the pockets of British Columbians, make travel more unaffordable for millions of residents who travel within BC, and reduce tourism spending in communities where hosts are often the only providers of local accommodations. Callers on CBC Radio's BC Today were mixed.
But philosophically, I'm opposed to the notion that government can just come in and tell me what to do with my property.
In my neighborhood, I see brand new buildings being built that are being put up specifically for housing, and then they're being rented out as Airbnbs, like the whole property.
The new rules could lead to fewer rooms for tourists in BC, but the mayor of Victoria says balance is key. Also, providing homes is a priority.
Even moving some of those into the permanent housing market is going to make a significant difference.
Resort communities and Gulf Islands will be exempt from principal residence requirements, but local governments can opt in.
There's lots in here that the whole community is going to have to weigh in on. STRs are part of our community. They benefit Tofino, but they also, as everybody knows, bring some baggage.
The provincial government says the new rules will be phased in from now through late 2024. Meera Bains, CBC News, Victoria.
So some tough talk from the provincial government there, but this is not the first time they've tried to regulate short-term rentals. They first introduced legislation in 2018 that gave authority to cities and towns on this issue. Joining us for more is our municipal affairs reporter, Justin McElroy. Justin, why does the province think this time will be different?
The big difference is because the province is taking over oversight on the question of if somebody is renting out their primary residence, which is allowed, or a second home, which is not. Now, in the past, it was up to municipalities to try and figure this out if somebody put forward a complaint. And so it became sort of a whack-a-mole situation with bylaw officers, and in most municipalities, they don't have a lot of bylaw officers to try and figure out who was telling the truth in this sort of situation. Now, the provincial government already has all that tax documentation over what is the primary residence for someone. So in theory, if there is a complaint, if somebody is in the wrong and posting something on Airbnb or another website that they're not allowed to, it should be a short process to determine that they're in the wrong and to levy the fines and get those units, in theory, on the market to be rented to British Columbians.
Now, we heard from a few mayors who support this change today. Is that generally the view across BC, do you think?
Well, it's generally the view among municipal politicians. I can tell you last month at the Union of BC Municipalities Convention, politicians from towns large and small were imploring the province to do something about short-term rentals, to get into this area more than they have in the past, saying it was simply a situation where they couldn't keep up with the demand and that they wanted more help. So certainly municipalities today generally smiling. Whether the public does or not, well, you heard that all the regulations won't be in place until the end of next year. There's a provincial election scheduled in between then, so we'll see what the public thinks then.
Indeed we will. Justin McElroy, thanks very much.